So the Bitcoin event horizon is literally days away. Today we're going to be discussing the unprecedented supply suffocation that is going on today and why we are about to watch the real Bitcoin flipping in. And no, Ethereum does not have anything to do with this flipping in. So we're going to start by explaining what's going on today by starting with this news article here that just dropped. Grayscale's Bitcoin holdings are expected to deplete to zero in 96 days. Okay, so time is seriously running out. And what does the accelerated depletion of Grayscale's Bitcoin reserves mean for the Bitcoin market? Okay, again, Grayscale is one of the largest institutional holders of Bitcoin around the world. And as the same time that Grayscale is running out of Bitcoin, we're also seeing another very interesting trend go on right now in the Bitcoin market. And we're going to be discussing that trend by taking a look at this chart here posted by Bitcoin Manga. So we can see these big red bars at the bottom of this chart. That's showing the amount of Bitcoin that's getting ripped off the exchanges, okay? Now, again, this is a 24-hour moving average. Now, again, just have a look at how much Bitcoin has been pulled off the exchanges in March. Okay, so again, this is all happening in the past month. Okay, again, the Bitcoin ETFs have been live for over 2 months now, and we are still seeing this unprecedented supply suffocation happening on the market today. Okay, again, we know that there's around 1.8 million Bitcoin on exchanges, and we know that a lot of the demand and a lot of the buying demand that's coming from these 9 new Bitcoin spot ETFs is coming from Grayscale. Okay, Grayscale is satisfying a lot of this demand, but as we can see, the exchanges are actually having to sell some of their Bitcoin to cover all of this demand coming from Grayscale. Okay, so let's take a look at another couple of charts that I think can really highlight what's going on. Now, again, before we move away from this chart, just okay, let's this chart goes all the way back to the beginning of January. Okay, so again, the ETFs launched in the first and second week of January, right? And you can see there wasn't really a whole lot of Bitcoin being ripped off the exchanges. Okay, now again, we should ask ourselves, why is that? Was that because there was enough Bitcoin on the OTC desks? Does that mean, or was that because Grayscale was selling a lot of Bitcoin? Well, I don't know. We're going to talk about that in a second. But here's another chart that highlights a very similar trend. Okay, we can see that this is tracking the 30-day change of the Bitcoin supply on exchanges. We have now seen 44 straight days of negative supply leaving the exchanges. Have a look at these. I'm going to try to zoom in for you guys so you can see this. But since February, we've just seen Bitcoin leave exchanges. And this is relatively unprecedented. Again, this chart goes back to November, so it gives us a little bit more data than the previous one we looked at. But I think it is highlighting a pretty vicious trend happening in the Bitcoin market today. Okay, it is absolutely unprecedented seeing what is actually happening. Okay, so there's something else that I think is interesting, and we know that right now most of these Bitcoin ETFs are buying their Bitcoin through Coinbase. Okay, and would it surprise you that the amount of Bitcoin on Coinbase has just hit a 9-year low? I mean, this chart is honestly unprecedented. It's amazing. It's ridiculous. And it's really showing what's actually happening in the Bitcoin market. I'm going to try to zoom up so you guys can see it. But there's not much Bitcoin left on Coinbase. Judging by that chart, it says there's about 344,000 Bitcoin sitting on Coinbase now. Now, if you were to zoom back to 2020, you can actually see that there was around 1 million Bitcoin sitting on exchanges. So this actually represents, again, 65% of all of the Bitcoin on Coinbase has disappeared in the past 4 years. This is not just an ETF phenomena. This is this is a new era in Bitcoin that I believe began in 2020. I've called, 2020 the monetary inflection point for a long time now. And I think that this really has accelerated everything. Or should I say the Bitcoin ETFs have merely accelerated a lot of the trends that actually began in 2020. So Rex owner 72 hours, that's got to be the best name I can see in the live chat right now, is asking, where can you see that chart? You can find that on the Bitcoin News Twitter account. We posted that one yesterday. So I think let's move on, because speaking of Bitcoin news, let's have a look at this article that we kind of hinted at a second ago. So who ran this calculation saying that Grayscale is going to run out of Bitcoin in 96 days? Well, it was from Arkham. Okay, so let's have a look. This is analysis from Arkham Intelligence, and they said that Grayscale has transferred a staggering 266,000 Bitcoin out of its wallets since January 11. Think about that for a minute. Grayscale has lost 266,000 Bitcoin since January. That is a lot of Bitcoin. That is more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor has managed to buy in the past 4 years. That's an incredible amount of Bitcoin. So again, this is very interesting. And they were kind of saying that, look, if this trend continues, GBTC is going to run out of Bitcoin in 96 days. Okay. Again, okay, this is fascinating because they have a really cool little chart. I'm a little bit of a sucker for nice charts. So we're going to have a look and see what Arkham analysis, or I think Arkham Intelligence, sorry. Let's see what kind of analysis that they can bring to the table. Let's have a look at this. So we can see, I think this could be tracking the wallets that Grayscale has. It's a fascinating little chart. I'd encourage you guys to check it out on Twitter if it's your cup of tea. But it's pretty fascinating. Now, something else that's fascinating, of course, let's continue having a look at a few other ways to actually have a look and visualize this supply shock that's going on today in the Bitcoin market. And again, let's go to a tweet I have from the one in the, let's go to this one here. Sorry guys, my tabs are a little bit in a funk today. I don't have producer Pam here helping me. She's actually out with her brother having a little bit of a birthday bash, so to say. The girlfriend's brother flew in from El Salvador, and we went out for dinner just early, and I came home to do the live stream with you guys. So we can see here. Let's have a look at how much Bitcoin Grayscale has left in their coffers. You can see right now that this chart has actually changed recently, and I actually like the recent changes. So the blue is measuring the amount of Bitcoin held by Grayscale. I'm going to try to actually move this little annoying thing out of the way. But you can see since day one of the Bitcoin ETFs, when they were launched, more and more Bitcoin has flowed out of Grayscale, and more Bitcoin has been accumulated by the other 9 Bitcoin spot ETFs, which is highlighted by these 9 other colors that we can see. Obviously, the light green one is represented by BlackRock, and it doesn't matter how you cut the cookie, BlackRock has bought a lot of Bitcoin. I love this little visual here. I think it's probably one of the best videos I've seen, just showing this Bitcoin ETF race, and it shows BlackRock just keeps pulling away from Fidelity. For a long time, Fidelity and BlackRock were neck and neck, but not anymore. Now BlackRock is the #1 big dog in town, and BlackRock, I believe, is the reason for why we are seeing an absolutely unprecedented supply suffocation on the exchanges today. Okay, now here it is. So this is GBTC. So we're talking about when they're going to run out of Bitcoin. So they've seen about 250,000 Bitcoin leave. And we can see here, this is after about 60 odd days of ETF trading. And we can see this kind of bright, dark, we'll call it dark purple bar here next to the big light green dildo bar. This is the amount of Bitcoin held by Grayscale. They have 340,000 Bitcoin left right now in the Grayscale coffers. And if this Bitcoin demand continues like it is today, this is going to mean that all of a sudden we are going to, Grayscale is going to run dry in exactly 96 days. So that was the title, so to say, on the thumbnail of today's video. But a lot of people might be wondering, who is buying all of this Bitcoin? Who is to blame? Well, of course, we know it would be Uncle Larry Fink. And we can see here, Uncle Larry Fink was actually on the news today. So I want to play that video for you guys because I think it's pretty interesting. We're going to play this video and then we're going to get back to a couple of quick charts I want to finish on in today's live stream. But let's listen to Big Uncle Larry and listen to what he has to say today.
IBIT is the fast. I'm very bullish on the long-term viability of Bitcoin.
I was going to say, did that surprise you?
That surprised me how much that's gone up. I mean, look at it. It is. We're creating now a market that has more liquidity, more transparency, and I'm pleasantly surprised, and I would never have predicted it before we filed it, that we were going to see this type of retail demand.
So you thought you'd do good, but not this good.
I thought. Yes. Yes.
Well, IBIT is your ETF over at iShares.
Yes.
It's about to overtake Grayscale, which was in the business certainly a lot longer. You look at the gains since January 11th when it first came about.
Yes.
Have you ever seen this much inflow this quickly into
IBIT is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs. I'm very bullish on the long-term viability of Bitcoin.
I was going to say, did that surprise you?
That surprised me how much that's gone up.
So two key nuggets in that interview. Larry Fink, the CEO of the world's largest asset manager around the world, is very bullish on the long-term viability of Bitcoin. Again, that is the signal, guys. That is massive signal that I think a lot of people are missing. Okay, we have Chicken Factor tuning in from Melbourne. G'day from my ex country there. Hello, and we can see here Future Boy has said, "Think he's funny. He knew exactly what will happen with the ETFs. He's way smarter than we think." Certainly a potential. Big Larry is actually communicating as if he is beginning to understand Bitcoin. And Future Boy has also mentioned that there's 1.786 million Bitcoin on exchanges right now. It's a great point. There's actually a couple of different ways to measure it. Some people look at Glassnode. Glassnode says it's around 1.8. Other metrics have a look at, there's different ways to measure it. There's lots of different exchanges, and you typically get a number around 2 million. But the thing that certainly hasn't changed is the fact that Bitcoin is being ripped off the exchanges. We have Flemington Flutter tuning in from Twitter. It's interesting. I'm curious how many of you guys are on Twitter. I don't live stream on Twitter very often. I think we're predominantly YouTube here on the live stream side of things. But I'd be interested if anyone's on Twitter, say g'day. Let me know how the stream's coming through. But again, guys, I think the signal is very, very, very clear. Okay, the supply suffocation is absolutely unprecedented, and a lot of people are saying that the supply suffocation is actually breaking the Bitcoin cycles, and it's actually creating something that we've never kind of seen before. Now, this article here is a really fascinating one. Okay, so it's let's have a quick read of it because I think it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of talk about the halving and the cycles, and nobody really knows what's going to happen next and whether we are going to see past trends continue. But we can see here that this is a really cool report from 21 Shares. So they say we're starting to see the early innings of this with banks like Wells Fargo and Merrill Lynch providing access to spot ETFs to select wealth management clients. Okay. So Morgan Stanley is allegedly evaluating the Bitcoin funds for its brokerage platform, and it is also among the first wealth managers to officially roll out a formal policy on BTC ETFs, signifying that a new wave of demand is starting to roll in. Okay, guys, this is the signal. The Bitcoin ETFs have absolutely shattered all of the records today. But again, a lot of the banks and a lot of the asset managers around the world haven't even started offering these Bitcoin ETFs to their clients. Okay. Again, fascinating, absolutely incredible. Now, again, something else that's fascinating. Apparently, my good friend Dan Lass has said that we have 313 viewers right now on X. Okay. If you are on X, hello. I'm normally rambling and talking shit on YouTube. Not sure if that's going to get us demonetized on YouTube or kicked off YouTube, but yeah, we're also going to try to stream to Twitter. So let's have a look at the rest of this article here. It's a little bit of an interesting one. Okay, because it's also talking about this supply dynamic. Okay, I think this is the key topic I really want to talk about today, the supply suffocation that's hitting the Bitcoin market. So we can see 21 shares says that although the supply long-term holders hold declined by 4%, from 15 million to 14.29 million, the supply held by short-term holders has surged by over 33%, rising from 2.3 million to 3 million. Now, this is just a sign that we're in the early stages of a bull market. Now, again, this is kind of what this chart here also points out. I want to see if I can open this image and get it a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay, maybe this is going to be good. Let me know in the chat that's a bit better for you guys. But you can see this is the MVRV Z-score. That's what they call it. Now, again, we're not going to get into how these metrics are calculated. I think that's a little bit beyond the scope of today's video. But you can see that this metric spikes in the very peaks of the bull market. So in 2012, when Bitcoin had a parabolic rally, this metric spiked up to about 12. We also see it hit about 13 in 2013. We saw it hit about 11 in 2013. We saw it at, what's that, about 11 again in 2017. Then in the previous bull run, we only saw this metric spike up to about 8. So this would again confirm the beliefs of many people in the space that the last bull run wasn't even a bull run. It was very muted and very small compared to historical rallies in Bitcoin. And you can see right now we are only at, what is that, about 2.5 or 3. So a lot of people are saying, look, we're in this euphoric Bitcoin bull market. We're seeing all of these trashy altcoins pump. We're close to a top. I don't think so. Okay, I still think we're very, very early in this bull market. Now, we have a question in the chat that kind of speaks to this. Jack Black, again, great name. I love that. Says, how high you think we'll go in this cycle? Okay, now, again, I've got a few different opinions on this. So my base case is that we break all of these diminishing returns models in the upcoming cycle. So again, from memory, I think we saw 100x in 2013. We saw a 33x in 2017, and we only saw like a 4x in the 2021 bull market. Now, I think we're probably going to see something much more like the 2013, 2017 era of a bull market. And I think I've done a video on this previously, so I kind of remember the maths. But if you take an average, growth multiplier for the bull markets of the 2013 and the 2017 bull markets, gives you at about a 66x. So, okay, so I'm taking the average of the 100x bull market in 2013 and the 33x bull market 2017. Take the average, you get 66x. If you assume the Bitcoin bull market started when Bitcoin was at around $30,000 per Bitcoin, from memory, I think that gives you about a Bitcoin price tag of about $2 million a pop if you use a 66x multiplier. Now, again, I'm bullish, but I don't think we're going to hit $2 million a coin. But again, I think a lot of people are just looking at the bull market wrong. Okay, they're saying like, maybe it hits 100K, maybe it hits 150K. I think there's probably only a 10 to 20% probability that Bitcoin tops out there. It's my personal belief. My personal belief is that I think there's probably about a 50% probability that we top somewhere between 600K and $1 million. Okay, so that's my base case. And again, nobody knows where the price of Bitcoin is going. I'm just speculating. Okay, the only thing I feel strongly about is Bitcoin's probably worth tens of millions of dollars per coin by 2030. Okay, the next cycle is too close to really speculate on with a high degree of certainty, or I'm not going to put my balls on the line for a 2025 Bitcoin price prediction. So Future Boy has mentioned something very interesting in the chat. The price will be manipulated by Aladdin to help BlackRock to get all the BTC from retailers. I don't know how much Bitcoin BlackRock's honestly going to get their hands on. Maybe 5% of the Bitcoin supply at a maximum. But even if BlackRock gets 5% or even 10% of the Bitcoin supply, what are they going to do with it? Like Bitcoin's a proof of work network. Bitcoin's not really a proof of stake network. So, you know, BlackRock can have fun staying poor. I just don't think they're going to be able to get their hands on that much Bitcoin. How about a daily countdown until the halving? More or less till it happens. The halving is a big event. The halving is a massive event. We're probably going to go live for, I don't know, what, 24 hours? You want to do a 24-hour live stream on the day of the halving, guys? Let me know. Mark says, g'day from Western Australia. We're going to try to go live every day until the Bitcoin halving, or post a video every single day until the Bitcoin halving. That could be difficult because I'm flying back to El Salvador next week, and there's going to actually be like a week worth of events in El Salvador the week I'm getting back. It's obviously the halving party, so that should be a little bit of a shindig back in El Salvador, but I'm going to try my best to do as many videos as I can for you guys. Speaking about videos and doing as many videos as I can for you guys, I'm doing daily videos over here on the old, how do I call it? The old dirty personal YouTube channel, where I'm allowed to be a little bit more loose with what we talk about, so to say. But I'm also doing 3 videos a week over on the Bitcoin News YouTube channel. So if you guys missed the video we dropped yesterday, and you enjoy my rants and my tangents and my shit talkings, as you can see here on screen, yesterday I made the case for why I think we're actually going to see 2 parabolic bull markets in Bitcoin like we saw in 2013. So you can see this is that video, is the 2013 bull market repeating. I'm not going to rehash everything I said yesterday, but if you want the high level of that thesis, I think it's interesting that we've already seen a parabolic bull market for Bitcoin today, and there's been no retail interest so far. Okay, so again, a lot of people say, okay, that's crazy. We're not going to repeat what we did in 2013. But again, like Bitcoin's already gone very parabolic over the past few months. Like if I would pull up a price chart of Bitcoin to kind of show you guys what I mean, Bitcoin really is just looking very, very, very vertical right now. It's gone straight up. But the most interesting part about this parabolic part of the bull market is we've had no retail interest. So again, it is the retail interest that comes into the bull market. That's what creates the euphoria and the parabolic blow off tops that you guys see. Now, right now, I'm trying my best to slap a chart on log for you and show you guys what I mean. So I apologize. There's lines everywhere on this chart right now because I was doing a little bit more research for another video for you guys. But let me try to hide those lines. But you can see like all of these, sorry, I'm having issues with this. All of these lines on the chart of Bitcoin, all of the big blow off tops that you see in Bitcoin, they're caused by retail spikes. And you can clarify and verify that claim by just looking at Google Trends. Every single time Bitcoin's in a bull market, Google Trends goes bananas. It goes parabolic. It goes nuts. Okay. But right now we've had really like not a whole lot of interest in Google Trends pickup, which is really, really interesting. Okay. So that's fascinating. And we have a few more questions. My friend who's also in a van saving sats, Chico in the van, says that it's only 0.00069 per sat. I love it. We must be at about $69,000 per Bitcoin. Oh, we are. Have a look at the price chart. That's brilliant. BlackRock being forced to divest. Oh, okay. This is an interesting topic. I want to actually ask you guys because I did because there's a lot of speculation about whether, BlackRock is buying all of the single family homes. So question here from Out of Phase, BlackRock being forced to divest from single family homes in the US. Where do you suppose that liquidity lands? 28% allocation to Bitcoin inbound. I love that. Out of Phase is keeping up with the news and what's happening in Bitcoin, because if you guys missed it, BlackRock just recently held a private meeting for their high net worth institutional clients, where they actually recommended that a 28% allocation to Bitcoin wasn't crazy. And it was, it was considerable. I forget the exact words they said. But again, that's fascinating. Now, I really hope my Wi-Fi is still working. My computer's a little bit slow. If it is slow, guys, I might have to end this thing here if I'm having the technical difficulties that I think I'm having.